About the negotiation. One of the comments that I hear sometimes about mediation is it can take so long. You know, what is it that you people do in there for an entire day, and how come sometimes you're there till like 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock at night? Those in the room who know me know that I really mean 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning. Why does it take so long? Well, if one side walks in and says, I want $250,000, the other side says, we'll give you 5. And they say, okay, well, you know, this isn't going to work, and you know, we're wasting our time here today, and the mediator says, oh, come on, you know, at least show some good faith. Let's see what you can do. You got to at least see their best number before you go home today, or you've wasted your time, right? So they say, okay, well, we'll come to 235, but we really need to see a move out of them on the other side, and the other side comes up to 10. And we're going back and forth, ping-ponging numbers back and forth. And eventually it goes 150 and they go 50, and then it goes 125 and they go 75, and then it's 110 and it's 90, and we spend another hour and a half figuring out how we're going to get to 100, right? So that everybody can save face, 99, 500. Why does it take so long? I mean, I just did it in 45 seconds, right? How come it's not that easy in the real world?
It takes time to warm up each new concept.
Yeah, it takes time to warm up each new concept. Pride, yeah. No, this is a $250,000, this is a significant case. You better tell them, if they're not thinking 6 figures, we're out of here. They're wasting their time. And so along with the pride comes some posturing. What else? Talking about non-monetary things. Good. Yeah, you can't pull a park out of your left ear and sort of say, let's just do this, right? It takes a while to get there. All right, what else? Why else does it take a while?
Egos.
Say again?
Egos.
Egos, sometimes, yeah. How about just the case? How about I believe it's a $250,000 case? Why should I move to 235? Why should I take less than that? We have to go through the case. We have to look at the flaws in the case, the strengths of the case, the possibilities of the case, the cost of the case, and all those different variables just to get them to move to 235. Then we go in the other room and they're saying, why should we put more than 5,000 on it? We don't even think this is a cost of defense case. We think it's nuisance value, which is a lovely term of art for a plaintiff to hear. And sometimes we have to get creative. Right? Sometimes they'll come from 250 all the way to 200 and dig their heels in and stop. And they'll come from 0 all the way up to 50 and say, that's all the authority I have today. Sound familiar? Medical malpractice case. A mom gives birth to 2 little twins prematurely. They're both like this big. They were having heart trouble because they were premature. They go to a very well-renowned, well-reputed hospital, and they have to do a test on the babies where they put a little tube down their little throats and inject some contrast dye around their heart so they can see on an X-ray if their hearts are formed properly. The nurse does the procedure, and the first one goes just fine. The second one, she put the tube a little too far, punctured the heart, and the baby essentially drowned to death. In one room I have the mom, whose surviving baby is now 18 months old, and a very good plaintiff's attorney, thank goodness. And I sit with them, and she's crying, and she says, you know, I used to think they killed my baby, and it was their fault. Now I've made a little bit more peace with it. But I'm not going to walk away from this lawsuit. This is, I mean, I went to the hospital, had 2 babies, and now I have 1. I went in the other room, and I'm thinking by this point, pardon me, I was experienced at this point. I'd done a lot of mediations. I had like 500 under my belt. In fact, I could probably tell you at that point how many of the 500 I had settled, right? I thought, I know what this calls for. Ha, I've done this before. And I walk in the other room, and the hospital is there. And I said, you know, let's make this as easy as we can on you today. Micro limit caps her general damages at $250,000. They have $6,000 in burial costs. The demand is $256,000. What do you want to do with it? And they said, well, we've talked about it. We're going to offer $135,000. And I looked for a minute, I said, really? They said, yeah. I said, it seems to me liability is pretty clear. They said, oh yeah, for purposes of mediation, we'll admit to liability. Our mediation's confidential, by the way. We hadn't talked yet about that. We will this afternoon. But so they can say that in mediation and still go defend it later at trial. So for purposes of mediation, we'll agree to liability. But in terms of damages, we're not sure. I said, this is a wrongful death case of a baby, defenseless baby who didn't ingest anything and not tell you, or something. Help me understand. And they said, well, EJ, if 256 is their best day at trial, why in the world would we voluntarily give that to them in settlement? I said, okay. So you want me to convey that? They said, yeah, we're prepared for you to convey that offer. So I went in the other room, and I didn't convey it right away. I said, we're talking about a good amount of money here today. The mom, fairly blue collar, single mom. I forget what she did, but I think she was making about maybe $40,000 a year. I said, help me understand what this means to you. And she explained all of that, but in adjectives and in words. And I said, when you win, you're going to get a chunk of money. Have you and your attorney talked about what you're going to do with that money? And she said, yeah, EJ, it's really easy. You see, I never got to go to college, and nobody in my family has ever been to college. I thought about it, and I decided what comes from this lawsuit, I'm going to use that to put my baby girl through college. And she said, I think it would be kind of neat, because it'd be a little bit like her sister's paying for her college, and she'll be the first one in the family to go to college. And I said, that's really cool. I said, all right, let me go talk to the other side some more, and I'll come back. So I walked into the other room, and I asked one question. Do you know a good structured person? Do you know what structured settlements are? Yeah? They said, why do we need one? And I said, well, let me tell you about what she wants to do with the money. I asked her, do you mind if I share this with the folks in the other room? She said, not at all. I said, she wants to send her 18-month-old to college. Now, this was 12 or 13 years ago, when there was an interest rate. In fact, it was like close to 8%. So what we did was we structured a settlement. The defense side said to me, we were prepared to go to $185 today. Well, under the micro law, the attorney's fees are mandated, so we know what those are going to be. And they said, let's take the attorney's fees and pay those in cash off the top. Let's give her another $10,000 to cover her burial expenses and other immediate expenses. And if she's willing, let's put the rest into a structured settlement, which is an investment. It's an annuity, and it grows tax-free. We got the structured person on the phone who faxed over some pages. And I was able to go into the other room with the mom and a big whiteboard and put these numbers up on the board. Your attorney got, I forget the actual number. In fact, if anybody in the room does med-mal plaintiff's work, could probably tell me. But the attorney got something like $50,000, I think, plus 10 more in cash to the mom right away. That's a total of 60. At age 18, 19, 20, and 21, 4 consecutive years, her baby girl gets $40,000, $40,000, $40,000, $40,000. At age 25, she gets $105,000 in a lump sum. At age 30, she gets $135,000 in a lump sum. And from 35 on, for the rest of her life, she gets $1,100 a month for as long as she lives. All tax-free. We blackboarded this, or whiteboarded it, I guess as the case was, $735,000. All she could do was weep, because her very good attorney had helped her to understand that $256,000 was her maximum recovery. And now she's looking at a payout to her little girl of this kind of money that goes in perpetuity, or for her life, that amounts to, using actuarial tables on the monthly, $735,000. She was ecstatic. And guess who got to go back to the hospital and write a report to the risk manager and the chairman of the board that said we settled this for only $185,000, because that's what it cost them. They put $125,000 into the structure, 10 to the lawyer, 10 to the family, and 50 to the lawyer right out of the gate. $185,000 total out of pocket. I kind of feel bad for the judges who do settlement conferences, because they just don't have the time to get into things like this and be creative. And we do. We can help people make orange juice. We can help people bake 24 muffins. We can help people get what they want and what they came there for.